I am
You
recording.
can hear me? Okay, good. So yes, thank you so much. I am excited to share an overview of the Stronger Memory program. As Erin just mentioned, we are launching our first official workshop this Saturday. We will continue to do so monthly, so anyone is always welcome to join. But the great thing about this program is that you can access it freely yourselves online, and I'll share with you about that. What we're going to go through is actually the workbook, not the full 178 pages, just some highlights. It's really a great program. Um, and I believe that fighting cognitive decline is important. As Erin was just mentioning, it's certainly a hot topic, but I think it is important for all of us. My mother suffered from vascular dementia, and I've been interested in research and solutions to delaying cognitive decline. So, and in memory of my mother. So I actually learned about the program from Lauren, so I have to give shout out to her. And it's an amazing program that is based on a son trying to help his mother. And so that's where it all started with Goodwin Living Foundation. And research showing that simple math done quickly, reading out loud, and handwriting were three ways which trigger greater brain activity in the prefrontal cortex and support improvement in brain function. So why is this important? The prefrontal cortex is the brain's decision maker. And the exercises in Stronger Memory have been chosen because they activate the prefrontal cortex, which helps control memory retrieval. But what is the prefrontal cortex and how does it actually work? Let's talk about where it is. It's in the part of your brain right behind your forehead. It's a large section and takes up about 10% of our brains. One of the things the prefrontal cortex is most known for is executive function. And the executive function is generally just how it sounds, the decision maker. It's our brain helping us to respond, react, make decisions, and plan for long-term goals. And so again, such an important component that we really need to activate. And we all know that we don't use, still learn, and still continue with here. So let's go ahead and get started. If you have an opportunity to have a pen and paper to try a couple of the exercises, then please go ahead and grab that now. But I'm going to go ahead and share with you. And so this is, let's try it again. There we go. Let me just move this up here so I can see my numbers of the pages. So there we go. So the Stronger Memory Workbook, as I said, it's available for free online. And we're just going to go through a few of the highlights here. You'll see the introduction, your brain on Stronger Memory. There's a calendar. You can map your progress, reading out loud, quick math sheets, and handwriting exercises. So that's truly the three core elements. Like going back to school, so going back to the basics, reading, writing, and arithmetic. It sounds simple, and it is. It may sound a little silly, and I can tell you I'm not afraid of things being silly. I'm also a laughter yoga leader. But what I love about this is you can really see your progress. For me, and I'll just do a little aside here, with the cursive writing. I don't know how many of you are still doing cursive writing, but I have not for many, many years, and it was very difficult to get started. So I'm anxious to see just how I can improve. So going back to the history behind the exercises, this was again through Rob Liebrick. He's the president and CEO of Goodwin Living in Virginia. And he had asked his mom to take a leap of faith and commit to a minimum of 30 minutes of simple mental exercises to engage her working memory. Again, research had identified that simple math done quickly, reading out brain activity in the prefrontal cortex and could support an improvement in brain function. So his mom did adopt the simple mental exercises, reading out loud from books, magazines, or newspapers, handwriting in a diary, completing simple math problems timed for focus. Within less than 30 days, his mom's repeating was significantly reduced, her recall of conversations improved, and she was no longer getting lost in familiar places. As she continued the work, she was able to learn mahjong and even start teaching bridge. She continues to progress well while still following the 3-step program, allowing her to engage with and make memories with all 7 of her great-grandchildren, a true gift. So let's compare the two. So building a better brain with stronger memory. To the left, you'll see the green, your brain with normal activity. When we do simple activities like looking out the window or watching a show, or even difficult math equations, brain scans teach us that only a few parts of our brain will light up with activity. When we read aloud, do simple math quickly, and write by hand, the prefrontal cortex and wide areas of our brains light up like the brighter light bulb above. With stronger memory, we can activate our neural pathways and our working memory together. This gently improves our recall, memory, and focus. And so to the right, you'll see the calendar, which again, you can track your progress. The goal is to do this daily, just like we all hopefully would do physical activity each and every day. But they say even 4 to 5 times a week. And again, it's only for 30 minutes, 10 minutes on each phase. So section 1 is reading out loud. So grab your favorite book, pick up the nearest magazine, read positive news stories. It's your choice. Just find something that you can read out loud for 10 minutes or more a day. You can even read to someone in your network of family and friends. So as I've been learning more about this program, I've learned the importance of reading out loud and how it stimulates our brain in the way that reading passively does not. Other benefits, of course, are strengthening our voice, which as we age, so for everyone, and of course with Parkinson's, I know that is especially can be an issue. If we can do things that we can enjoy to strengthen our voice. Obviously singing is probably the best, but reading is something you can do each and every day, and you can read anything out loud. I'm finding myself doing that. Even when I'm writing things, I'm reading them out loud as I'm writing them. So it's something that I think you can get into the habit of doing very easily. And again, the benefits, and it's fun. Being able to read poetry or stories, whatever it is that's important to you. We had a preview class of the workshop, and that's what we did. We did some reading aloud, and I thought it was fun. You know, the participants were engaged in doing it as well. So not to be fearful of doing that in front of people, no matter how we sound here. So with the quick math, the object of completing these is to just do the math without worrying about the right answers. The important thing is to do them quickly. And as you progress, as with a calendar, you'll be able to time yourself. So typically, again, we're looking to do 10 minutes a day, and you're going to see these examples and math problems are quite easy. They do get difficult, a little more difficult over time, but it really is not to trick you or really have you thinking of these complex answers. It's just to get your brain thinking about them and doing them, going through them quickly. So let's move on. So here is the first, sorry. So under stage 1, asking to please complete these math questions as quickly as possible. And what's fun to do is to see how quickly you can do them as you're doing them over and over. So this, you don't need a pen or paper. Let's just go ahead and take, let's just take 30 seconds. And we're going to go through the left side page, stage 1. Let's take the first 3 lines, and just to yourselves, let's just go ahead and kind of go line by line and read the equation and come up with your answer, and then we'll move on from there. So I'm going to go ahead and time us for 30 seconds here. Okay, and we're off. Okay, my stopwatch, I'm not sure if that was 30 seconds here or not, but as you can see, they're in a pattern. It's not trying to trick you in any way. Again, just kind of going through quickly. And as we found from Lauren, what we've been doing is we're actually putting these exercises into clear plastic sheets and with a dry erase pen, because you can do them over and over again. The whole point really is to increase our speed. And again, doesn't matter if they're right or not, it's trying to get through them as quickly as we can. So we were on page 9 here. We're going to actually flip over. So now, as you can see, going many pages ahead, that the problems are a little more difficult, 3 digits here, but obviously still simple math problems. So let's do the same as we did before. Let's take the first 2 lines from the first page here. Let me see if I can get my stopwatch working more so on my phone. There we go. Okay. And let's go ahead and go through them, just reading to yourself and coming up with the answer for the first 2 lines here on the first page. Okay, 30 seconds again. So, and of course, these are familiar to me, so I've been doing them quickly. So don't feel bad if you didn't get through them, or if you got through them quicker than I did, then good for you. And let's see here. And now we're going to move on to the handwriting. So with the handwriting exercises, again, you're going to have answers to the following writing prompts that you would use on a separate sheet of paper. And if you didn't have an answer to something, you can always write about anything that comes to mind. Take your time, no need to worry about correct spelling. Again, the purpose here is to practice cursive writing. Now, again, that may not be possible for all of us, so we will try to just use these exercises as we can. As I said, even my printing is barely legible. I've had several surgeries on my fingers, and so it's difficult. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not I can improve like some of the subjects in the research studies. And I don't know if I mentioned the Howard University research that's about stronger memory. So they endorse the Stronger Memory Program. PMD Alliance, Parkinson's Movement Disorder Alliance, also backs this program. And what I've been shown is someone, for example, who really could not write at all. And so you see barely anything on that page, to after weeks, you can, of course, it's still difficult to read, but this person is now writing. And so I'm hoping to to be able to get somewhere with that. We talk about what's going on today with technology and how we use our telephones, our cell phones and computers for everything, and we're typing. But again, we're simplifying things instead of having our brains do the work. So they say, I've just had heard in an instance about research done on a 16-year-old girl who basically used her phone 8 hours a day. And this is at 16, her brain was compared to that of a 60-year-old man. So our young people are really losing that ability to learn because they don't need to. They can look anything up. They don't have to go through the process. And if anyone was at the recent Mission Viejo support group, the doctor speaking there talked about her own children and how she was going to keep them from having cell phones until they were, I don't know if it was 16 or 18. So she had 3 children, which, boy, I give her a lot of credit because that'll be very hard to do. But she is so concerned about their brains growing and learning and what they will become. And it's, again, for us on the flip side, we need to relearn. Let's take advantage of what we know. And again, going back to the basics, reading, writing, and arithmetic. So let's take a look at the first prompt. Write about what you like to do for fun. So if you're able to write a sentence or two in cursive, let's go ahead and just do some thinking about the things you do for fun. And that's one of my favorite subjects is anything for fun is always good. And if you're like me, I start out printing, so it's difficult to even remember how to write in cursive. Let's just take a minute or so here. Okay. And of course, I'm cheating because I already knew what I was going to ask about, and I had already thought about my answer. So, but if you had a moment to do that, and if not, even just thinking about what you like to do for fun for this exercise, we're not in the workshop. So, however you can do this, then that is great. So we are. Let's just take a look at some of the other prompts here. There are pages and pages of opportunities to write about things. Some of you may have been thinking about journaling or already journaling. Again, the idea is to do this in cursive, not to do it on the computer. And so, but I love, a lot of these questions. In your life, what has been your greatest gift? Do you think it's important to remember where you are from and to teach following generations about it? Let's see here. What is your favorite season? Why do you like it? What are some activities you enjoy doing when it's cold outside? Have you traveled a lot? These are, again, wonderful prompts that we can share in groups. So we can share in the workshops together. And maybe at some point there will be, and there probably are now that I'm not familiar with, workshops online. So we'll continue to look for that information for you and share it as we have it. What are your favorite books and why? We're talking about doing a reading aloud club that would be specific to just reading aloud. And I think that that's one of the greatest benefits of doing that in a group. So just like the reading groups, but instead of coming to talk about a book you've read, we're actually doing the reading in the class. So as you can see, the questions go on, the prompts go on, literally 178 pages. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing. If I can find my, there we go, my stop share, and come back to the group here. And I know it was a very quick overview then as well. So, and I apologize if I was going too fast, but just to get your thoughts. So how does it sound doing reading, writing, and arithmetic as you did in school?
I just had a comment.
Anyone?
I saw the presentation in Virginia by one of the
Yes.
Stronger Memory folks. And one of the biggest questions that everybody has is the math is so simple. Why is the math, wouldn't it be better for our brains to be doing higher level math? And they said, absolutely. The research shows if you're doing that higher level, really tough math, it's a different area of your brain. And if you're trying to work on your memories, you got to do this fast. Because I was like, I'm just whipping through these pages, like this isn't helping me. But they said,
I know.
it actually works that area of the brain. So, you know.
And you're right, because you look at it at first glance, you're like, oh, but again, obviously it's a process, and that's why there are so many pages. And the point of just seeing how quickly you can go and improve. Anyone else?
So
No.
the interesting part of this, like I said, I make no claims to some sort of cognitive function expert by any means. But I see why that the prompts are short and redundant. Because when we think about cognitive function and memory, there's two types of memory that we're trying to build, right? There's short-term memory, and then there's long-term memory. And the studies show that, the short-term memory is what's often affected by dementia or dementia-related conditions, right? The ability to retain that short. But repetitive action, like doing something over and over and over, like those short little prompts on the math, is what builds the longer term memory and then helps you to retain better. So I actually Lauren, I totally get what you're saying. Like, yeah, I was done before 30 seconds, but I'm
Right.
yeah, but I'm
One plus
remembering.
one.
You're right. What's one plus one? Let's hope I remember that. But I'm actually remembering that the whole point of it is repetitive action, because by repetitive action, it actually builds the new neural pathways to shorter memory, to the longer memory, so that you're not actually losing that part of the cognitive function. So it is interesting that like what you're actually working on is
Right.
like what you said, Pam, like the basics, like that stuff you
Yes.
learn in first grade.
Yes.
Yeah. Like just making sure that you're still practicing that part, because so many times our short-term memory, we're not retaining those shorter things anymore. And
Right.
so sometimes it's important to go back to the basics of them.
Yeah.
When I went to the seminar, the audience had so many good ideas that it was full of rock steady coaches and OTs and PTs and speech people in the audience, and they were talking about different ways to use this for you to be, instead of just writing something down or just reading something, but giving it another purpose. Like maybe you're reading to your grandchild, or maybe you're writing a letter to a pen pal to, nobody writes letters and puts them in the mailbox anymore.
Yes.
Get a pen pal that's, somewhere far away, whether it be, a grandchild, a friend you haven't talked to, anything like that, and write the letters to them, just giving it a different purpose. They were so creative with the things they came up with, writing down your history to leave for your family members. Just
Absolutely.
and more practical suggestions, write down your grocery list, things like that, things you have to do anyway. But when you're writing your grocery list, write it in cursive. So it was really interesting, the ideas that came up.
And then reading it out loud, even the grocery list.
Yep.
And thank you for that. I have a friend who writes notes, thank you notes, almost every time after we get together, and sends a little card in the mail. As you said, nobody does it. Of course, her cursive writing is beautiful. So I'm hoping to start doing that because it's so meaningful. We don't I guess, and again, reading, yes, reading to your grandchildren, all of these, a joy for you and for them. Um, so I think there's many other benefits, and the social part of it, I think, is also key. If you can participate in a workshop with other people, I think it's more, it's motivating, right? And nobody's judging anyone about anything. It's really just sharing. Um, and who doesn't want to, improve upon what we have left in our brains here, in whatever way we can. And there's so many different things. This, of course, is one program, but I love it because it's simple. I love simple. 30 minutes a day, 10 minutes each, and they're all things we can do easily. So again, it's nothing too hard. It may be, again, difficult for some people to write. And so we'd have to kind of take a look at what options there would be with that. But my favorite is the reading aloud. I think that's just fun in general. And again, with our voices weakening, it's so important to maintain. And we have some gentleman who's actually on the board with Parkinson's OC, who I'm sure he won't mind my sharing, I hope, reading speeches, reading about the greatest speeches. And so the same with Shakespeare, reading Shakespeare, things that you have to give a lot of emotion to, and or poetry, things that are moving, that those are the types of things that will really benefit from then as well.
I know when I came home from the seminar, I was very motivated and I was doing it every day, and slowly over time, I stopped completely, which is why I think it's so important to have, like workshops like yours, because it gets you remotivated, it gets you invigorated, you're doing it with others. It makes a big difference, and it keeps you going on it.
Yeah.
Because even though it's only 30 minutes a day,
Right.
you do
Yeah.
let it slide sometimes.
Of course, just like the physical activity, right? That's the
I
latest
have a
research.
question.
Of course, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. So my question is, I know you said it's 30 minutes a day.
Mhm.
Is it not as beneficial if you do 10 here, 10 there, 10 there? Or is it only beneficial if you sort of consolidate working your brain in all these different ways at the same time?
I would think, and I don't know the actual answer to that however you do that, so 10 minutes maybe reading in the morning, 10 minutes of the math and so on, that I can't see how that would make a difference. I don't know, Lauren, did you hear anything more in
It's
relation
been a
to
couple
that?
years since I attended, but I'm fairly certain that they did say that you could break it up and do 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there. And I'm thinking, hey, multitask, like sitting on the exercise bike, there's no reason you can't be reading something out loud on the exercise bike, or, doing things like that.
Right. Yeah. Because we
Awesome.
don't want to become like that 16-year-old, right?
No.
Who's
I wanted to mention,
Terrible.
my sister bought me a
not
service called Story Time.
not learning.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes, go
So,
ahead.
it's like what Lauren said, writing down your family history, but it's a
Yes.
structured service. So you get an email like once every week or two that has a new question. And it's very similar to all those questions you were just showing. But at the end,
Oh,
you end up
that's
creating a book. And I know Annabelle Harris did that. And so that's kind of working on two things at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
yes. And how wonderful. What a gift to your family. It's because once we're gone, those stay with you, those stories stay with you, your interest, all of those things. So yeah, I think it's time for us to be, again, going back to, maybe old-fashioned ways of writing letters and sending cards, and then of course writing our own stories. I think that's wonderful. We all have had our own journeys, and especially through Parkinson's, I think that your sharing of your experiences can be so helpful to others as well. So yeah.
Kim, I have a a question. Sorry, my brain just went in and out. Haha,
There you
speaking about
go.
short-term memory. All right. So I think I already know the answer to this, but I still want to clarify it because this happens to me when I suggest trying a new skill in my in the members maybe who have had Parkinson's for 10, 15, 20 years, right? I get the excuse, I'm too old, or my Parkinson's is too advanced, I'm in stage 4 or 5. Like, is there like a level on like the Honig-Jaeger scale, if you're familiar with it, like levels 1 through 5, that at some point that this doesn't work, that it's like, not as effective for members?
I think it's up to us to find variations and to do what we can do to make, and again, be creative, right? Yes, we can't all do everything. Um, but I know something that, through my work with Watermark, that we believe that everyone has the right to thrive, and however that looks. So talking about learning, and I see that all the time. Someone will say, oh, I used to be able to do that, or I used to be able to do this, and I can't do it anymore. So it's up to us to be creative and find a way to do it. Maybe not the same, obviously, but in their own way, so that there are benefits, because we're never too old, period. And I like to say we're getting younger instead of getting older. So the older I get, that's my new saying here. But yes, I think that, and as a group, when you do have someone, that's the great thing about having a family, having a support, having a village of people to help you, is that if you have a problem, share it, and let's see if we can't collectively come up with an answer.
Can
Yeah.
can you make some suggestions, or maybe this isn't just on you, maybe it's on us as a group? Because Lauren, I know you've heard, or in your workshop with PMD Alliance, people were making suggestions, but like like in my head right now, I'm echoing everybody who I care about and love this past month, with the I'm too tired to do that today. My meds are totally in an off phase right now. I don't want to. Like, I'd rather just like go to sleep.
Right.
Like, yeah, it's lovely, but this is not working for me this week. I'm just, busy or whatever. Like, what are some even easier than getting out the workbook concepts to like, like what are those adaptability, tiny itty bitty steps to take? Like, okay, I did 1% today, that maybe you can think about, especially for all of my near and dears who are really struggling with off time and just can't even get out of bed today. Like, what is something that you could think about that might be that 1% that might help?
I know one thing
And
that they talked about was pairing up with a buddy. When you have that apathy, or you just don't want to do it, or you don't think you have the time, even if it's pairing up with them over Zoom, if they can't get off the couch or whatever it is. And that way you're reading your stories to each other. So, if you know that somebody's waiting for you on Zoom, or if you're planning to meet them at the local Starbucks and you guys are going to, whatever the case may be, but if you have accountability, I think that helps.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, accountability. Exactly, right? Even on the days that like you feel terrible. It's like accountability, Lauren. I know on the days you feel terrible, I'm like, I still need to talk with you, Queen Bee.
No, Erin's waiting for me. I gotta go.
that is motivating, of course. But what you were talking about, those little tiny pieces, if you will, I think being able to accomplish even one, and even maybe just for a few minutes. So you don't read for 10 minutes, you don't do the exercise for the length of time, or you do just part of one. I think that makes us feel better, like we've accomplished something, right? So if we force myself to do one more thing that I know that, or I feel like I can't, or I'm just too tired to, I always feel better after the fact. That isn't helpful in motivating me to do it, but once I do, and even again, a part of it, or even start something, even just to get out the book and say, okay, well, I'm not going to do it today, but I've got my book right here. And when I do, after I take a nap or what have you, I'll have it right here and I can pick it back up then. So maybe even just planning ahead if you're not able to do something right then and there.
One thing that surprised me, I was able to go to Pam's kind of sneak peek that she had a week or so ago, and it was just, it surprised me. I don't know why, but I found it delightful to listen to some of these other people that I don't remember her name, Pam, but she was 92 years old. I remember that. And this was, she had such a strong voice. And I wanted to
Yes.
I wanted to hear her story. I wanted to hear what she had to say, and she was just awesome. And so
Yes.
that was really a motivating factor for me to want to go back and to do this program in a social setting, because you get to hear from all these different individuals who just have such a different life experience. So it was really, really interesting.
Right. And we all have challenges, right? So talking about this gal who happened to be 92 years young, and we actually had a 97-year-old in the class as well. So there you go. I mean, we have all different reasons for why we want to continue on and improve upon, but just to make ourselves feel better in some way. And to me, the great process here is that it's easy. And as you were asking about, Erin, doing these in different chunks, I think especially given that not everyone will feel up to the 30 minutes at one point in time during the day, to just even getting started, having something that you can do, that you can be proactive in trying to keep your brain going and active. And one of the things that I had just seen recently then as well is talking about even using our GPS on our cars. That most people, and I'm one of those people, even have the GPS on when they're going home. So for familiar directions, you know how to get there, but you still have it on. I don't know if I like looking at the map. I'm not sure what my reason is, but you're now taking that away from your brain. Your brain's no longer having to think about it. So we're really living in a society right now where, it's very detrimental. All of these supposed wonderful technologies are really taking away from, us using our brains, and we already know we don't use enough of our brains. So, but some of the other easy things, brushing your teeth with your non-dominant hand, something as simple as that. Putting your watch, if you wear a watch every day or a bracelet, wearing it on the other wrist. Doing things out of the norm, really kind of shake up your brain. They have to think about it, because now it's no longer just that habit. So
I was even
a lot of great things.
I was even thinking to break it up into small bits, like if someone wasn't motivated, there's things you read all day long that you don't even think about, like whether it's a recipe for dinner or whether it's your pill bottle, your prescription. I mean, if the things you are picking up each day, if you read them out loud, I would think that by the end of the day, you've got way more than 10 minutes read out loud. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I don't know if it would do as well for your brain, but it's a thought.
Why not? And again, even strengthening your voice.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, does anybody want to borrow my 4-year-old? Because I assure you, you will talk nonstop from 6 a.m. until the literal second his head hits the pillow. You will be physically talking. But jokes aside, if you do have grandkids, or heck, even great grandkids, or even just neighbors with kids, grandkids, that's such an easy way. If the kids go outside to play and you're just simply physically present, yeah, they're gonna chatter, 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 chatter. Such an easy way without even thinking about it, to increase your social circle, to quite literally exercise your voice. to ask them what they learned in school, all of the above, without doing so much as even just leaving your backyard or your front yard or wherever you're situated. So yeah, there's your motivation. Or borrow my kid. Anybody want to
There you go.
babysit?
That's your motivation. There's your motivation.
My motivation is to stop talking for like 2 minutes.
Yes.
No, those are
Yes.
easy tips. Pam, I've got a question for you.
Sure.
So this goes hand in hand with motivation.
Mhm.
So say a person starts to do this, they're working through the workbook, it's been 2 weeks, and they're getting frustrated because they're not noticing a lot of improvement, or maybe they expect to see some sort of crazy marginal improvement. Do you have any sort of timeline, window, or scalability about what kinds of improvement to expect if you're doing this type of exercise?
Well, they do say that if a 30-day period, within that first 30 days, you should start to see. And keeping a calendar, keeping the time. So I don't know if, and I'm sorry, I may not have mentioned that on the bottom of each of the pages for the math um, is where you can put your time. So again, but through using a dry erase and so on, you can continue to do that. But tracking, I think tracking is a great way. And even if you have a regular calendar, you just want to add that. There you go, Lauren. Thank you. Yes, if you want to just continue to track, but that is where the research showed from 30 days and then on. So they just continue to show how people continue to improve. But yes, I think 2 weeks is maybe a little bit too short. You never know. But then even with the handwriting, what I've seen from some of the participants, going from, as I said, not being able to write at all to be able to write that, again, I'm sure they could read it, but it was, and this was just in a few, whatever, it may have just been a couple of months. But I think with anything continuing, we're just going to strengthen and strengthen ourselves here. And we may not see it, but I can't imagine, as the founder from Goodwin Living had said, what is it going to hurt to try it? It's not a medication. There's no side effects, right? So there's no downside to this. And I think again, being research backed, I think the more we'll learn about this, then too, I think we can feel pretty confident that it is going to help, whether or not we can, actually see the results or not.
I think
Um,
sometimes the results are so slow over time, it's hard to see. But like if someone hadn't seen you for a couple months and then all of a sudden, they may notice a big difference.
Right, yes.
Yeah.
Also, question, because like, sorry if I've got all these questions, because certainly I've just been through the rigmarole of getting people in the community to try new things, right? And especially applying something that is maybe even frustrating. What advice or sort of feedback do you have for someone who is starting to do the work and is actually noticing a decline, and says, what's the point of this? Like, maybe it's not a dramatic decline, but instead of seeing the improvement tick upwards, they're either seeing it stagnate or maybe even slightly drop. What sort of feedback do you have for somebody who might be struggling like that?
I think with any change for us that's a negative change, I think we should always, go to our doctors, see our doctors, talk to our doctors about whatever may be, because that's
Yeah.
a concern, right? That certainly shouldn't be happening. Certainly nothing that would happen maybe gradually over time. Obviously, we're all progressing in whatever it is that we're dealing with, but anything like that, I would then, confer with your doctor. I think that's because that should not happen. As I said, it's not a medication. It's not something you're expecting anything negative to come from at all. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. The reason I ask that is, so many people in our community struggle with depression. anxiety. And
Exactly.
when you see your numbers not only either stagnate or maybe even fall, it's so easy to fall into the self-blame. Like, this is my fault. I'm not doing well. Like, I'm falling apart. Like, this is all, something that I'm doing, rather than it's actually quite the opposite. You're doing so good for your brain health, but medically, you may need more support in certain areas. And it's so important
Right.
that just by taking the workbook, this is already a huge, huge beneficial step. And if you're not seeing those changes, it is time to look medically at how to support that, not you're doing this wrong, something's wrong with you. And it's just the point I wanted to bring
Right.
up, because
Of
I can't
course.
tell you how many times people try something new. It doesn't quite work necessarily in the first month or 2 or 3, and maybe even their symptoms have progressed, and suddenly they just throw away this whole new task
Mm-hmm.
because I failed at it anyways. It's no good. I'm the problem. When in reality, they probably actually
Right.
just needed more support.
I think Pam made a
Right.
great point.
Right. No, absolutely.
Pam, when you talked about going to see your doctor and you mentioned medication, it could actually be an indicator that of a side effect of a medication. Maybe they were going along and doing okay, and all of a sudden they're not doing as well and they're getting upset about it. But maybe they were put on a new medication, and the medication is actually the reason they're slowing down or something. I mean, you never know. So that's a really good point. I hadn't thought of that.
Yes.
I think
Or
that at the
something
end of
even
the
unrelated to Parkinson's, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it could be
absolutely.
anything.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I just it's part of the mantra of Parkinson's Orange County. It's about empowering yourself. Like, you are not the problem and you didn't do anything wrong, but you probably do need more support. And it's about asking and
Right.
speaking up and making sure that you're getting the support you need. So that's I'll get off my soapbox now, but that was my
Okay.
point. And
Well, and if I can
Kathy wanted to
offer,
speak.
oh,
I
please.
have a quick question. So I don't know if I wrote this down correctly, but are the main benefits that we are hoping for is improve our recall, memory, and focus? Is that correct, Pam?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Good. Thank you.
Which, which again, wouldn't that be amazing? It's amazing to think something so simple could be so beneficial. And they're continuing the research. I can tell you that even from the Alzheimer's Association, that they have endorsed and given grants and monies towards this program. So there's a lot of, serious backing that they wouldn't be doing this if they didn't feel that there was, true results from this research. Yes.
Absolutely.
And if I may, Erin, going back to talking about depression and or not feeling up to doing tasks and so on, through my laughter yoga, so on another side, I have a lot of positive sheets, a lot of positive tips on, having that positive attitude, trying to stay with a positive attitude when you definitely do not feel like it, don't feel up to it at all. So I'm happy to share any of those things with you that you could pass along then too.
If
Yeah.
I may, I would like to speak for men, especially depression.
Okay,
It's a hard one for men to admit to. There's an old adage I learned in nursing school, which was, of course, now it's gone out of my head, that it's noticeable to others that you are getting better or worse with depression than for yourself. By starting a new medication for depression, it may be 6 weeks before any positive results are seen. And it's others that will notice it before you'll notice it yourself. And seeking feedback for that can be beneficial. But again, men, as you know, suffer from denial, not the river, but the condition. And it's hard, but this is fascinating.
Yeah. No, thank you for sharing. And you're right, we do. And again, when someone doesn't see the results, someone else may be able to do that. And you're right, even on how you're feeling. And that's a good gauge, is to try to have a partner, if you can, who will, you can let them know that you just started a new medication. And when they start seeing, a difference, a positive difference, to please let you know. Yeah, thank
Excellent
you.
point.
Thank you. And I know we're getting close to the end of our hour, if I may, Erin. So we have our workshop this Saturday at 10:30. Anyone who is interested, would love to have you join us. We'll be doing the same in November. November 22nd is the date there. And then we're going to continue on a monthly basis, and then just kind of get an idea from people what Saturdays may work best for them. And then the other, if I may, since we've been talking about doctors and medication, Dr. Bixby will be coming and speaking at Watermark on November 10th at 2 p.m. She'll be speaking on Crexont, which I'm sure most of you have heard about, the extended release medication. And she's always, so wonderful about answering questions unrelated to maybe even that medication, but a lot of the things that we've been talking about then too as well. Happy to, I'll provide the information to Lauren and Erin so they both have it and then can share with you.
Perfect. And Pam, I just to let you know, and for everybody else who receives our weekly e-blasts, on Monday, the flyer for Pam's workshop on stronger memory went out. That, like she said, is Saturday, October 25th at 10:30 a.m. Her offices are located right at the entrance of Watermark, so no need to wander around the building. Just show up right in the lobby and they'll walk you right to where you're supposed to be. I've written the address right there in the chat, but certainly if you want the actual flyer again, or you cannot find your emails, please let me know. I will gladly forward that on to you. All right. Lauren, did you have a question?
Thank
Well,
you, Erin.
I just wanted to give a shout out at the end here. For those of you who don't know, Pam's Community Watermark Laguna Niguel is the first one in Orange County to go through the PMD Alliance Parkinson certification training. So they're the first ones to get certified. I wish every place like that was certified. So if you have of the, place in your community like that, tell them there's training available, and Parkinson's unfortunately is growing like mad. So it's a good marketing point for them.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And we've learned a lot. We've learned a lot. It's very humbling to realize just how little we knew. You think you have all the basics, medications on time, this, that, and the other, but there's so much more. And so it's been wonderful for our staff to now recognize, everything from facial masking and so on as part of interest or apathy and so on then as well. So I thank you for that. Thank you for allowing us to be a part of this program.
Well, thank you very much, Pam. Does anybody have any last questions for Pam before we wrap up our session? All right. Well, Pam, thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us today. I hope your workshop on Saturday goes amazing. Lauren did put in the chat bar, if you look and see our chat, strongermemory.org is where you can find your free manual. Easy to simply download, print out, and certainly I think you only need to print out the actual worksheet sheets. Maybe you can save 100 and however many pages.
Yeah, not the full 178, right?
So print out with caution. Please don't blame me if you print out 200 pages.
Yes.
But go ahead and download those worksheets. And remember, repetition is key. Repetition is key. Practicing short, easy ways to constantly get that brain working. Pam, we are so grateful for you. Thank you for taking your time and expertise with us today.
Thank you. My pleasure. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank
All
you
right,
very
guys.
much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Bye, guys. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.